Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Bricktown Brewery's Oklahoma Sports Scene. I'm Chris Lincoln, along with the coaches, Gil Cloud, of course, Tulsa Public Schools Athletic Director, and the Hall of Famer himself, J.B. Haney. Guys, we're back in the studio.
Back in the studio and no food.
I know.
Where's the food?
That was some fun, wasn't it?
I was just kind of waiting for some.
Well, the second show of each Monday, second Monday of each month will be at Bricktown Brewery at 5:30. Right now at the Imperial location downtown there, and then on the third Monday of the month will be Jimmy's Egg, 71st and Garnett, and they feed us pretty well there, don't they, Coach?
Really, really well. I tell you, they even filled up Jerry Ostrowski, which is a major task.
That's it. Bricktown, of course, had that huge chicken fried steak for Little Joe.
Little Joe.
Doing great. Back in the studio, though, we've got a good group of guests lined up for you. Been up the Oklahoma State Cowboy fans thinking about homecoming and Texas coming up on Saturday. Well, Mark Moore is going to join us. They're multiple OSU All-American safety from the 80s. They played for Coach Pat Jones. He has some great Cowboy stories and some pretty insightful things. He's part of the coaches cabana with Pat Jones.
And, of course, we've got a guy from a tremendous football family, Steve Spavital. His dad coached in the NFL and in the Canadian League, and, of course, his two sons are now Division I coordinators. And he was the head coach at Broken Arrow and stepped away, and now is the play-by-play color analyst for Broken Arrow, which is #1 in the state.
They sure are.
Well, and then we're going to visit with Mike Nsien. You know, he's the Roughnecks interim coach.
That title right now, yeah.
But nevertheless, he does know what's going on with the Roughnecks. And then, hey, our favorite, Henry Primeaux comes aboard. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see what he brings us to show us in sports that we haven't seen.
Amazing stuff. His memorabilia collection, Henry Primo Mitsubishi, will be here to show us that. All right, guys, let's kind of wrap up the past weekend in college football. Oklahoma, as they have so many times, bounced back after a loss, and they put it on TCU 52-27. Your thoughts, Coach?
I thought they played well offensively. It was... everybody wanted to talk about how the defense is going to be changed and going to be different and everything. Well, the scheme is the same.
Yeah.
You can't change the scheme in the middle of the season. But I think the approach was what the critical thing was, the way the more positive toward the student athletes, and I think they responded well. And I thought one of the great things that Ruffin McNeil said was we put it on the players.
Right, not the scheme.
And not the scheme, it's the players. You have to execute the scheme. And if you don't believe in it, you're not going to. And I think they believed in it. I think they did some things. I think there's still some areas there, physicality, that they're not quite as skilled or in size. And I think that shows well. We were talking earlier today before we went on, you know, there are some other teams that have tall receivers. And with those small defensive backs, it's going to be a tough shot. So what they have to do defensively is got to get a better pass rush.
Kyler Murray, of course, had another great game. OU had their lead cut to 28-24 at halftime. And talk about adjustments. Second half, they came out and they held TCU to 3 points and 134 yards, Coach. That's some good coaching.
Well, I think what happened there, you know, it's hard to say it like this, but I think defensively that the Sooners were just happier without their former coach. Now, that's, you know, you shouldn't maybe say that, but I think when you change coaches in the middle of the season, that there is a new life comes aboard. And I think that's what happened in the second half of the last game.
Well, the Sooners come home now, and they play a 2:30 game this Saturday against Kansas State. I know, Gil, when you're on the K-State staff, I'm sure you look forward to that visit to Norman.
You know, I think I told this story before, you know, when one of the other guys was here. Well, when Joe was here, about they're going to hang half 100 on us. I would hope that they do that this week against K-State and get to 0 on the defensive side, because that way it'll get people back off of them. Now, if Kansas State comes in here, you know, and score some points now, like they did against OSU.
That's right.
They were going to be right back where we were. Who's the defensive coordinator? How come the defense is not playing? So I think they're going to have to be able to play both sides of the football, have a good kicking game. And, you know, there's 3 phases to the game: offense, defense, and kicking. You win 2, you win the game. they got to win 2 of them.
And Kansas State comes in with a 3-4 record, but again, they came off that 31-12 pounding of Oklahoma State, so never discount Bill Snyder. I always think of Vince Gibson, one of the great lines. Oklahoma put on how many points on him, and he one of the post-game press conferences we interviewed him, coach. He said, "Well, listen, I want to get something out of the way first, guys. I am not responsible for killing those damn ponies. I was so worried. They ran out so many times back and forth, celebrating touchdowns. It's not my fault."
Oh my God!
He was a character, wasn't he?
Vince, we had Vince-isms. I mean, one time he told Frank Falks, who was a coach of ours, excellent coach, ended up in the National Football League. But we were recruiting a young man out of Junction City, and Junction City was about 17 miles away from Manhattan. And he said, "Frank, I want you to go over there. I want you to see that kid. And then about 10 miles away, there's none of that. Be 2 shot birds with 1 stone." What? I said, "Vince, what did you say?" And we set the staff meeting, and that was back in the day, unlimited staff. So we had 18 coaches up there, and he would say something, and 17 chairs would turn like this. So he was laughing. Oh my God!
He had that purple clothing, didn't he?
Purple Pride, baby.
Man,
and he had a purple and white Buick.
Oh my God!
I used to have to take him to his TV show on Sunday morning, and we'd drive down the interstate in that purple and white Buick, and people would look at us like, "What in the world kind of car is that?"
Well, we all thought we'd get a victory at Arkansas. The Tulsa Golden Hurricane will let us down, Coach. That was a tough loss over there, 23-0 shutout. That is their 6th straight loss. They're 19th straight to the Razorbacks, and the first time to an unranked team since 2004 they've been shut out.
And when you go back and look at the schedule, TU could have only lost 1 game at this point. And they took Texas to the bitter end, didn't they?
Sure did.
And I was looking at the rankings, and we have had so many. Where'd Ohio State go? They went down the list, didn't they? I just wonder if we have overranked too many of them this year.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. To me, one of the biggest fallacies in the ranking is Texas number 6.
Yeah.
There's no way they're number 6. Yeah. There's no way. And I think that's going to happen. Now, they may win out. I mean, who knows, and I think it'll come down to Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12.
This Saturday, the 27th, TU is home. They'll be hosting Tulane in a 6 p.m. game. That's on ESPNU. Vanderbilt will be at Arkansas for an 11 a.m. game on the SEC network. Oklahoma State opened last week. They host Texas, of course, for homecoming, and we got a special guest coming up to talk much more about that football game. One of the former Cowboy All-Americans, so stay with us on that. All right, guys, preseason the poll came out, college football poll, and not a lot of movement. Oklahoma went up 1 spot to 8.
I thought that was a pretty good move. They moved up last week and didn't play.
That's right.
So they moved up again after they won. Only 3 Big 12 teams up there: Texas, Oklahoma, and West Virginia in the top 25. But what gets me a little bit is you look at some of these. Notre Dame has got they're in.
Oh, yeah.
They don't play anybody the rest of the year, so they're going to be undefeated, and they're Notre Dame. So they're going to be, and I can remember back in the day, and you may too, because you're about as old as I am.
That's right. Thank you, Coach.
And you're older than I am. When Notre Dame didn't go to bowl games.
That's right. Yeah.
They would not allow them to go to bowl games. And
I remember that.
Well, now they're going to be in the national championship game, probably at some point, at least to the semifinals.
And concerned who they might knock out of there, a Big 10 or a Big 12 team.
Well, because there's only 4 spots, and there's a Power 5.
Yeah, no doubt.
Somebody's out.
All right, your time of year, Coach. Preseason basketball polls are out, and the Big 12 represented at the top. Kansas with number 1 over Kentucky.
Well, I'm prejudiced. I think Kansas will always have. How many times now Bill Self will not do well at the beginning? He may lose a couple of 3 games, but when they get down to the playoffs, he's going to have them going. And I'll go with Kansas.
I think that's a great thing about a good coach is that you can tell, but they get better every week through the season.
That national poll, too. Kansas State is number 15 in the preseason AP national poll. West Virginia, 21. Now let's go to the Big 12 preseason basketball poll, guys. Kansas, number 1 for the 8th straight preseason. Kansas State, 2. West Virginia, 3. Oklahoma is 8. Oklahoma State is listed 10th, last. I can't believe that.
I can't believe that either, because I think Michael Boynton will put some pretty good people out there this year, and I think his game plan and the way he utilizes his talent. The Big 12, though, every time you play, you got a chance to win or lose. I mean, it is so balanced, I think.
Sure. Other preseason polls, the American Athletic Conference has Central Florida number 1, Houston 2, Cincinnati 3. Tulsa is 9th in the conference. And you'll balance here. We have also a women's AAC poll, right?
Absolutely, the AAC for the women's, and unfortunately, Tulsa is 12th out of 12. Of course, UConn is number one, as always. It'll be, they had, I think they got all but one vote for first place.
Who was that person
Well,
watching?
some idiot out there.
But South Florida beat UConn?
But then Houston and UCF. And I tell you, those two schools in Florida really are interesting to me.
Yeah.
South Florida and Central Florida, those schools aren't that old. And to have Division 1A programs as well as they are, they have made you talk about making a commitment. They have made a commitment.
The other preseason poll, the Summit poll, has South Dakota State number 1, South Dakota 2, Denver 3. Oral Roberts listed as number 6.
And that's about where Oral Roberts belong.
Yeah.
But now, TU, I guarantee you, I think they will finish in the top 4.
SEC poll, Arkansas is ranked 10th with Kentucky, Tennessee being 1-2. Guys, they want to show some footage of a high school football athlete in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Edison High School, really making his name for himself. Coach, let's talk about this young man who's Sevion Morrison, who's just been tearing him up.
The last 2 weeks is incredible. He has gained over 800 yards, 419, 429, but 13 touchdowns. That's a season for some teams. And but what a great kid. He has a 4-point grade average.
Oh, it's great.
So he's a qualifier.
Yep.
And he's only a junior. And we're certainly glad he's going to be back another year.
Also on the sports calendar, the World Series cranks up on Tuesday of next week, this week I should say. And of course, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers at the Boston Red Sox for the start of the best of 7 for the World Series. The network love that. Coast to coast Major League Baseball. We come back. We promise you an Oklahoma State football All-American. Stay with us. Find out who it is. Next on Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Bricktown Brewery.
At Bricktown Brewery, we're known for our famous original craft beers like Single String Stout and Bluesberry Ale. Did you know we also brew our own root beer at our Oklahoma City brewhouse? It's called Attaboy Root Beer, and you'll love it no matter what your age. Just ask for a Bricktown Kids menu with all the favorites for our guests 12 and under. Bricktown Brewery opens every day at 11 a.m.
Triple Crowns in the last 4 years have reawakened America to the magnificent thoroughbred. And now, we've got our own triple to celebrate. 3 decades of excitement. And it's not too late for you to get in on the action. Plan your holiday party or any event you like at Remington, and we'll make sure it's chock full of mouth-watering food, drinks that hit the spot, and all the casino and racing action you can handle. Remington's 30th. Thoroughly thrilling.
Very pleased to have with us now one of the great football players in Oklahoma State football history. 2-time All-American, 1985 and 86 at safety, Mark Moore, one of Pat Jones's all-time favorites. Mark, glad to have a Cowboy on the show. And again, give us a bit of your background, how you got to OSU and about your career at the Cowboys.
Well, I grew up in Nacogdoches, Texas, a little small town in East Texas. Good football programs down there. And Pat, matter of fact, he wasn't the one that recruited me. Reggie Herring came down and recruited me. I think they was looking at some other guys, and I just kind of happened to stand out a little bit. And took a visit here, and after my first visit to Oklahoma State, I knew this is where I was going to go. I had a little bit of chance of going to Arkansas, and took a bad trip there. Well, I guess a bad weather trip, because I got there and it was just too darn cold there for me. So I decided to come to Oklahoma State, and the best thing I ever could have done in my life.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So during your career, tell us about your success team-wise and individually.
Well, team-wise, I got there at a very good time. We had some great guys. I understand we had like Leslie O'Neal, John Washington, James Ham, just a tremendous defense. And back then, that's what the Big 8 was about, playing tough defense. And so we had some guys that would kind of go out and get it. And so we did pretty well. We started off a little slow my freshman year, but kind of gained some momentum. That's when we had Jimmy Johnson there. And then, of course, Pat Jones took over my sophomore year. And that was the best thing that could have happened to us, for him to be the head coach. And I think we would have had a mutiny there if he wouldn't become the head coach there after Jimmy left. But Pat was a good defensive-minded coach. He was the defensive coordinator my first year. And Pat was all about just being aggressive on defense and, and just getting the best he could get out of the guys that we had there.
And you're back with Pat Jones now.
Yep. Back with Pat now. We're doing Coach's Cabana, and this is my third year. I think this is my third year with him.
It's on Cox, of course.
Yeah, it's on Cox,
Yep.
and we do all of Oklahoma State's pregame show. It's like a 30-minute segment. It comes on 30 minutes prior to the game that they're playing, and it's a wonderful show. We have Allison Gappa, which is with Oklahoma State, and she does a great job keeping Pat and I in line. So it works out well for us.
I've always said the easiest job I ever had in broadcasting was to do some of the sports animal shows with Pat.
Yeah.
Coach, what do you? It was over.
And that's over with.
Say another word.
And that's what we do. We kind of sit there and we talk about what we're going to have for dinner afterwards, and just let Pat kind of do his thing there. But no, great guy to work with. A very, very professional. Just a wonderful coach. I know I wouldn't have been a 2-time, 3-time All-American if it wasn't for Pat, because he knew exactly what buttons to push to get every ounce that he could get out of me.
So when you finished your career there, you went to the National Football League. Tell us about that.
Yeah, got drafted by Seattle Seahawks in the 4th round. They didn't have a 3rd round pick, so I always say I was a 3rd round pick. Didn't get 3rd round money, but I'll take it. But got drafted by Seattle as defensive back safety there. Had Chuck Knox, which was a wonderful coach there. Professional organization, first class. Can't say any more things about them. And they've taken a lot of Oklahoma State guys over the past couple of years. Since I was there. But wonderful people, wonderful city. I was just there too this past week. I went for about 2 weeks, and the weather was just perfect. I heard y'all had all the rain here. I went there expecting rain, but y'all got all the rain here. But Seattle. First NFL team for a guy coming from a little small town was just probably a perfect situation for me. And fans there are just great people.
What's your opinion of what's going on with the Cowboys right now?
Right now, I hate to say it in the middle of a season, but it's a rebuilding year. It looks like it. Pat and I talk about it so much, during the Coach's Cabana. We just can't understand why the offense is as stagnant as it is, and the defense not playing as well as they should. I expected the defense to be a lot better than they were. But right now they're just not clicking. There's some, I can't even put my hand on it right now. I wish they would try to get the ball to Justice Hill a little more. And I understand the offensive line is just not there. They don't have the manpower that they need. But, you got the best back in the country. Just give it to him and just see what he can do.
Well, all they got to do is call Jim Traber.
Well, there you go.
He had it all figured out.
Well, Jim does, but I don't think Pat thinks that Jim does.
Well, what was funny, interesting, driving over here today, I heard Jim and Pat on the radio together. Jim's over here today for a remote, and he said, I just got to call him. I don't know what we're doing. We got to change quarterbacks. Of course, he's been saying that for 4 weeks.
Well, the quarterback change. You look at TCU this past weekend. They did that, and I hate to see anybody get demoted, but it's about winning. It's about productivity. So if it's not getting done with one, maybe try another one, because you got the kid there. You already know that you're going to redshirt him. That's number one. And plus, you got those 4 games now. Put him in, see what he can do. And if it doesn't work, that's fine. You can go back to where you are.
Coach Jones told me, he says, I know Mike Gundy well. If it's a 5-year-old, you'd win with. He'd put the 5-year-old in the lineup.
Oh, yeah.
So it must be something. This kid either is, and he's third string, he's not getting the reps right now.
Well, but the thing is, and I can understand Mike's point of it. It's that you have the senior here. He's waited his turn for as long.
Sure has.
And so, you have to kind of give that.
Well,
to
one
him,
thing you can say about Coach Gundy, I don't think there's any question, and I think you would echo this, is he is a player's coach.
Oh yeah,
he's there for when he had the breakdown that I'm the man, I'm 40.
Yeah, and that's taken.
That sold those players.
Yeah, it sold the players, but then I think you have to take it on the players. They got to be the ownership of this now, because when you have a coach like that, you got to go out and give more effort than I think that they've been given.
Yeah.
When you take a look at what they're doing, do you see anywhere that before the end of the season they can kind of go back and recapture what they had at the beginning?
The only reason I don't, the schedule is just too tough for them. It's just, and I hate to say it, and I bleed orange till the day I die. But the schedule is just set up for them right now that it's. I hate to say it's just a failure for them this season, but it's going to be hard for them to get off the mat because, it's just too tough from here on out. You got Oklahoma, West Virginia, and you kept in those two, I feel, and then plus Texas. I hate to even think about Texas. And Texas, they surprised me. I mean, I didn't expect for them to, I expected them to start doing better. I didn't think it would be this soon.
The Cowboys have always had great success, though, against Texas, especially down in Austin.
Oh, yeah.
I am for homecoming in Stillwater this Saturday. What are you expecting?
Yeah. Well, I hope Oklahoma State does what they normally do. Lose to the teams that they shouldn't lose to and beat the teams that they shouldn't beat. So that's what I'm looking for this weekend. But they're really going to have to play great to beat Texas. They just have so many weapons on offense, and their receivers are just so big and fast and tall. And with the corners that we have, it's going to be a difficult day for them, I think, on defense.
Playing with a lot of enthusiasm, too, because of their success.
Yeah, and that'll help. And I hope it'll help with Barry being there and everything else that's going on around
homecoming king or something, back for the parade. Homecoming is a very special time in Stillwater, isn't it?
It is. And, I really didn't realize how much until I stopped playing and I was able to go to all the festivities the night before and stuff. Yeah. And that's just an amazing place. I mean, they do such a great job with it. Everybody kind of pitches in and, to see all the fraternities and sororities and everything. So it's really a big thing for Oklahoma State. And like I say, it's a momentum bill. It helps the team, I think, to see all the new guys coming back, older guys coming back and everybody participating in the whole weekend.
7 p.m. kickoff. It's on ABC as well.
Yep.
You've seen a lot of changes on campus. It's amazing what the facilities you had to what they have now.
Oh, yeah. If you can't win with what they have right now, because when we were back there, we were at the bottom of Ivor Hall, and nobody ever knew we was down there, and it was just as hot as it could be. But no, they have a first-class facilities there. I mean, and it should help with the recruiting. And I understand Holder's own mic about recruiting and all this stuff, but you have to have the product on the field. I mean, kids today, they're looking for the flash, they're looking for this. So I think they got to just cater to the kids that are coming out of high school and just try to go out and just get the best talent that they can. Because I think that's one thing with us. I think a lot of times they kind of sit back and they kind of just settle on some certain guys instead of going after the premier guys. But that's what you got to do to win in this conference this season.
One of the things about recruiting is, and it's difficult when you get out there and you get your nose bloodied so many times. You do what you say.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Well, I can sign this kid. I know I can sign this kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if I can sign that kid.
Yeah.
And that gets you in trouble every single time.
And I think that's really kind of what Oklahoma State has been. I think they just need to just let it all lay out, Put the cards on the table. You just never know about kids these days. I mean, this might be something that they see that, the coaches are not seeing, that we're able to get this kid here.
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, we were glad you're here with us today and homecoming, and you know where Bricktown Brewery is.
Yes, I do.
Well, one of your compadres we had last week, little Joe Washington.
Little Joe.
We were going to do an on-site location, and he showed up to the Bricktown, Oklahoma City instead of Tulsa.
Oh, did he now? Hey, that's an OU guy for you now.
These work anywhere. So
works for me. Yeah. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Great All-American safety. Oklahoma State University. Go get them Cowboys. Homecoming, Texas. 7 o'clock kickoff over in Stillwater. Back with more of our Oklahoma sports team with Bricktown right after this.
Great news. Primeaux Mitsubishi is again #1 in sales in Oklahoma. I've made some key changes. Next time you come in, you'll see some very familiar faces. Mitsubishi has increased discounts on all 2018 Mitsubishis. Save up to $3,000 on the all-new Eclipse Cross and up to $4,000 on other models. All Mitsubishis come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Come see us at Primeaux Mitsubishi, 15309 South Memorial, or on the web at PrimeauxMitsubishi.com.
Every minute, every day, and every night, there's someone who needs us. Every week and every year, we bring something new to the way we care for individuals and our communities. Every thought and every action is spent improving the way we imagine health and wellness. Because every child, every woman, and every man deserves the best possible life. St. Francis Health System. Healthcare for life.
At Rogers State University, we keep things personal.
It all starts here.
We make sure our graduates get the most out of their education.
RSU has campuses in Claremore, Bartlesville, and Pryor, with on-campus housing and a wide variety of programs to suit your needs.
It all starts here.
Rogers State University.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene, presented by Bricktown Brewery. And Steve Spavital, a special guest for us there. We all know him as the former head football coach of the Broken Arrow Tigers. It goes a long ways back before that. Steve, talk about your somewhat 30 years in coaching, right?
Oh, yeah, it's actually about 35, actually, somewhere around there. It's just a lot longer than I anticipated, I guess, more than anything. But no, I started at Glenpool High School, and I was there for a couple of years. Then I went on to Seminole, and then kind of just planned myself in some different little facets, you know, with the USFL and some things of that nature, and then came back to Edmond and worked with Bill Blankenship. Of course, I was just a pulpit prior to that, with Bill Blankenship on my staff as well, and then just kind of went from there. Just kind of came over. I followed Bill over here to Union, and I was
4
with
state
him.
championships.
Yeah, and about 4 silver balls too, which I think some of them are a little lopsided because we kicked the 4th one, I think, quite a bit, you know. But no, it was a great time there at the Union for 16 years, I think. Then I was fortunate to come over to Broken Arrow and been there ever since.
How long have you been at Broken Arrow?
About 11 years now. About 11 years. I came
during that time, Steve. You've seen a lot of changes. What's the biggest change that you see now with the success of the football team?
I think a lot of it's just the commitment of the school. When I first came there, I actually wanted to quit and go back. Because it was just there was just no commitment to it. It was like a really small town mentality, which
in the biggest school in the state,
and didn't want to grow. And so we were fighting a lot of battles. You're fighting battles with the kids, fighting battle with the practice habits, fighting battle with the administration, fighting battle with a lot of things. And then finally, things just started coming together, especially when we had Coach Dr. Mendenhall, I should say. When he became the superintendent there was a big change of mindset. It used to be a lot of times where you always hated the finance department because they didn't like the world. And then, the administration was always in your favor, but it was kind of the opposite at Broken Arrow, and then it changed back to the normality.
That's good.
I hate to move back, but this keeps crossing my mind. You was an assistant at East Tennessee State after spending 8 or 9 years in high school. Why did you come back to high school?
Well, I tell you what it was, is I found myself being kind of like my dad in a lot of ways. And that's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong. My dad was a professional football coach, but he never saw me play. He was unable to see me grow up and participate in athletics. So I caught myself doing that. I was at work by 6 a.m. in the morning at a staff meeting, and I would get, my kids were asleep. And then when I would come home, it would be 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. My kids would be in bed asleep. So I caught myself doing that, and I just said, I don't want to do that. I want to be part of my kids' lives. So what I did is I chose to go back to high school, which is bar none the smartest and best thing I've ever done. And I was able to see my kids grow up. I was able to coach them. I was able to travel with them on, because they were in AAU basketball, they were in Bear baseball, they were in competitive soccer, they were all over the place. And, sometimes my wife and I would take one kid to Dallas and she'd take one kid to Memphis. It was just one of those deals. And it was one of the best things I ever did, was getting back in my kids' lives.
Steve Spavital, best known around this area, certainly across the state, as the head football coach of the Broken Arrow Tigers. 2010 to 2013, Steve, your record 39-12. Your district champion, state runner-ups 2011, 10-3 2013, lose to Union in the state semifinals. I'll never forget this, December 13th. You quit. Talk about your decision to resign and what happened there and all the issues.
We were getting better and better as a team concept, because like I said, when I first got to Broken Arrow, it was a difficult time, and I had to change a lot of mindsets, especially with the kids. And it got to the point where the mindset has changed, and we're not afraid to play the Unions or the Jinxes and stuff like that. I mean, they were anticipating, they want to play them. But then a lot of times was stress kind of dealt with me a little bit, and I was getting severe headaches. I was getting things that were just not normal, and I needed to get rid of that in my life. I wanted to make sure I was around with my grandkids. And
easy to be a broadcaster, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's on 97.1 with Charlie Hanema, the Broken Arrow voice, the Broken Arrow Tigers there, and on the web as well. And that's a new career for you too. You enjoying the color analyst work?
You know, I'm starting to get better at it. I was with Mark Fry, which is the head of the Tulsa Performing Arts Center now. It was a lot different because I did a lot of preparation for him, but then it was more let's talk about Broken Arrow, all the things that happened. And then of course now with Charlie Hanema, it's more, I guess it's more corporate. Yeah. You know, everything's a lot different, and now I have to learn a little different way of handling things, but I think I'm getting used to it and getting better at it.
Makes it easy, though, when you're winning.
Well, I tell you what it is. Sometimes it's hard because I've actually bought a new thesaurus because I've got to try to figure out new words to make things bad look good, you know, and so it's been a challenge.
I know about that, making bad look good. You know, one of my jobs when I was at K-State was to do a 15-minute highlight film on Monday for Cat Pack Chat. Now, sometimes first downs were a highlight.
I know.
So I've been there.
Well, this one is when we don't score. I mean, we take every possession and we do score. I mean, it's just the statistics are just uncanny, and you get tired of talking about the statistics. You want to focus as a color analyst more on the strategy of the game. Mm-hmm. You know, I do. Yeah. I mean, I want to see it's 3rd and 6. What Coach Wilkinson what's in his mind. I want to try to figure him out, but we've been unable to do that these last few days.
When we get back, Coach Spav, we're going to talk more about those undefeated, number 1 ranked Broken Arrow Tigers have been dominating 6A1 high school football, and also talk about his sons that are both in major college football themselves. More coming up on Oklahoma Sports Scene with Bricktown Brewery. Bricktown Brewery invites you to come on in and enjoy Bricktoberfest, where the beers and ales are bigger and better than before. And we want to remind you that a new Harvest Ale will tap in mid-November. Be sure to watch for that. Also, Bricktown Brewery, of course, features their special Twisted Comfort Foods. Those are foods you remember from your past, but with a special Bricktown twist. Enjoy Bricktown Loaded Chips, Rocky's Turkey Reuben, and a great short rib burger. Something special for you all through the month of October into November at Bricktown Brewery.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. We have a special guest today, Steve Spavital, former head football coach at Broken Arrow and now the color analyst for Broken Arrow High School football. And Steve, let's talk a little bit about the domination of the East Side, it seems like, over the last 20 years in 6A football.
You know, we've talked about this a lot and everybody kind of wonders, but I think it's more just the commitment of the schools, you know, on this side of the state. They want to have a commitment into athletics because, you know, to me, when we first really started this, when I was at Union, we didn't have a town. So basically the identity of that program was going to be your athletics, you know, your fine arts, you know, your academics, you know, that's your identity. And so that's what we kind of wanted to do. We wanted to have an identity and take, you know, just take it real seriously. And that's what the teams do. You know, we practice hard. They get a lot of good coaches. They have booster clubs that raise a lot of money for us. You know, it's unbelievable of the equipment we have, the sponsorships we have. I mean, we're sponsored by Adidas now. And, you know, I had a text not too long ago. They had a coaching clinic in San Diego, and they tweeted me a picture of our jersey that's there. And see, the BA logo is being all over the place because of these things, and that's what you want, is that commitment. And we don't have we have 6-hour athletics. We're committed to whatever you have, and that's where I think a lot of your success comes from.
I think a lot of that too, the commitment has been made by the districts financially with the facilities. You look at the facilities on this side of the state and look on the other side, and there's no comparison. And I feel bad for those people, but I feel good for ours. I think that, when we built Union Stadium in 1976,
I remember,
and we were the first one to put turf in 85, everybody thought we were crazy. Now it's the standard, and I think that commitment started on the east side.
And you're building for the future too.
That's right.
I mean, you're building a stadium that you may not be able to fill it right now, but you will in the years to come.
When we built that 11,000 seat stadium, we had 500 in school.
Correct.
Wow. And
I remember.
It was one of those things, we could see the demographics. It was going to move this way.
Correct.
And it did. It moved right through Union, right into Broken Arrow. And everybody just kept growing southeast.
That domination by the Broken Arrow beat Norman 63-7 this year, beat Westmore 69-10, beat Edmond 35-7, just beat Yukon 56-3. Jenks beat Norman 42-20 last week. That's the 55th straight win, Coach, for Jenks over a West Side team.
Well, the thing that keeps coming in my mind is the way that we have dominated it in the upper class here in metropolitan Tulsa. The 4 teams, we know who they are. Is that going to break what is going to happen in the Oklahoma City area?
I don't know what's going to happen. I think football is actually working itself down over there, where we're basically bringing it up. You look at the coaches we hire. I didn't interview for coaches. I went and got coaches. And I think that's the difference a lot of times, because you get over there, they're stuck with the coaches they already have because of teaching fields and things. You have to have administration in board now, because, obviously they're going to lose some, sections and stuff. You're going to have to really have a great athletic department and a great administration to help you along the way to hiring coaches, because I went and got coaches because I knew they were good and they were going to be the best thing for our kids.
Give us an update on your 2 boys. I know you're awful proud of them, both Zach and Jake, and give us where they are, what they're doing right now.
Well, my youngest boy is the offensive coordinator at West Virginia.
Not doing too bad.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well. I mean, his quarterback is not performing quite well right now, but he will be, and a lot of things. But they're fighting some little issues in there, but they're doing really well. I mean, they're having a great season. They're going to play this Thursday against who is it? Baylor.
Baylor, that's right.
Which I think Baylor is a good football team.
Yeah, they got some talent.
They can sneak up on you because they play so hard. And my other son is the co-defensive coordinator at Texas Tech.
And they're all playing defense all of a sudden. Who knew? At Texas Tech.
I know. They're really doing a good job. It was funny. I was down there just after the Kansas game, and he was so upset because the last drive Kansas went 80 yards to score, and that was 80 yards.
Oh yeah.
He got them over to 300 yard for the game instead of the 220 type deal. So
Coach Spav, thanks for being with us. We have something for you.
We want you to, our sponsor, Bricktown Brewery, wants you to enjoy a good evening out.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure being with you guys. All of the legends.
97.1. You and Charlie listen to Tiger football and coming up with Thursday night game, or about Thursday night game?
Thursday night, yes, sir.
Good luck to you there. We'll be right back to talk more football, a different type of football. We'll wrap the Roughnecks season. But first, our man J.B. Haney has an update on GTR, the Greater Tulsa Reporter.
Always a pleasure to talk about the GTR. Of course, Forrest Cameron and his wife Sharon put out a wonderful newspaper here. As a matter of fact, they put out 6 in metropolitan Tulsa. And if you want to know something about education, about sports, about health, about politics, whatever your interest may be, you can find it in a GTR. So I'd encourage you, pick up one the next time you see it, and you'll do it every month.
Bricktown Brewery, our main sponsor and host, and we have with us Heather Bassett's going to introduce us to, there she is, Heather. Let's introduce us to Bricktoberfest. What do we have here? Heather Bassett, their general manager.
We have Bricktoberfest. It tapped October 4th. This is a true Marzen-style lager. We brewed it in celebration of Oktoberfest, of course. Let's see. Nice copper color and
beautiful.
Nice and toasty.
Wow.
This is our single string stout.
Wow.
This is a darker beer with the chocolate and coffee notes.
Oh my goodness, chocolate! I love chocolate.
Our blueberry ale.
Oh, blueberries!
It's a light, crisp ale. It has a perfect amount of blueberries. And this is our Old King Kolsch.
Oh, that's definitely JV.
This is a light crisp ale with balanced with light grains, and it has a low hop profile to give it a nice smooth finish.
Heather, can't thank you for hosting us here tonight. Will you be back to show us some comfort foods and a special little meal we have to set up, right?
Definitely so.
All right, Heather, thank you very much. Back with more of Bricktown Brewery's Oklahoma Sports Scene right after this.
I bring Tulsa's voice to Oklahoma City and Washington. I build relationships with elected officials and community stakeholders to develop policies that grow the Tulsa region. I loved my time at Rogers State University. The personal relationships I developed with professors really helped develop a skill set that would help me serve the Tulsa region that I care about. It all started for me at Rogers State University.
And back on Bricktown Brewery's Oklahoma Sports Scene, different type of football to talk about now. It's Roughnecks soccer time, and we're really glad to have with us the interim head coach of the Roughnecks, finishing up the season with him here, Michael Nsien. And of course, we're very proud of the fact that he's one of your own.
He's one of our Booker T grads, and we're really proud of you. How you got through the season? You took over in the middle of the season.
Right.
How do you feel about that as you finish up and as you go into the off season and start looking for players?
Well, I would start by saying, I'm my biggest critic, so I would start by saying I wish the results have been a little bit different, but as far as getting a good understanding of how the league works and the players that I had at my disposal and how I'll move forward, I feel pretty confident about next year if I'm given the opportunity, obviously.
So how's the outlook for your prospects to be able to attract some players?
Well, I think Tulsa as a city is a desirable place, so I think around the league, players communicate. So as far as this being a destination for players, I think players will be comfortable coming here. I think it's important now that it's an environment that players can thrive and win games and get exposure to play at the next level and things like that. So that'll be the next coaches going forward. That'll be their task.
With TU and ORU soccer,
yes.
In any way, are those players good enough to come aboard?
Yeah, I'm in contact with those coaches. They speak to me about potential prospects coming up or how they feel like a good player season is gone that I've been interested in. But ultimately, some of those players graduated in May, so it just depends on the timetable that it could work out.
Matches, it's amazing. We had 19 ties this year. My gosh, Michael.
I'm not sure if that's a record, but I can't imagine anything more. But I think that shows that we had a competitive team.
Right, yeah.
Imagine if a lot of those ties became wins,
sure.
So we look back on a lot of those games and what could have been, but ultimately, it didn't happen for us.
One of the things that the Tulsa Chamber of Commerce and the Sports Commission and those folks who talk about is a soccer complex downtown, stadium and everything. Wouldn't that be beneficial to attract players and your attendance?
Yeah, I think. I've heard those same things. Saw a feasibility study that was in the newspaper. Obviously, you have a soccer-specific stadium. I think. The way that it's laid out, the players, the way the fans would be around the players, I think it would definitely give a boost as far as the players are concerned, and then obviously it would attract players coming in to feel like they have their own facility.
We were in some of those meetings, and one of the things that I recommended was that we put it on this side of town instead of on that side, simply because there's no parking the way it is now.
Right.
And you want to have good parking for that.
Right. Yeah, you want to have good parking, obviously, and then also maybe lengthen downtown a little bit so people have another location to go to.
Sure.
I think it could really fill out the space downtown Tulsa.
Has the growth of soccer in high school level, has that had any positive impact with your team?
I don't know about the high school level, maybe as a fan base. I know a lot of the kids on the youth side that I've worked with or still do in the past, they attend games. So I guess the more that they fall in love with the game, the more likely they're to attend. And then obviously there's some players that would love to be a Tulsa Roughneck one day. So I think it's kind of cyclical that one promotes the other.
You've had some rapid fan support. These fans haven't given up on the team certainly throughout the whole entire season.
Yeah, so we've had some definitely supporters that after every game I've been appreciative of, because it hasn't always been easy. But whether it's raining or we're winning or losing, they've been there. So we're hoping that next year it'll be the same.
Well, Michael Nsien is the interim head coach of the Tulsa Roughnecks. We hope maybe it'll be a more permanent title than that next time we talk with you, Michael.
Yeah,
congratulations again on the hard work you put in, and I know the fans rallied around you. Wish you all the best.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And because you're here,
yes,
you can go to Bricktown, can't you?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
All
I
right.
can do that. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming.
it. Thanks,
You bet.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
More to come back and a lot more on Oklahoma Sports Scene, so stay with us.
Great news. Primeaux Mitsubishi is again #1 in sales in Oklahoma. I've made some key changes. Next time you come in, you'll see some very familiar faces. Mitsubishi has increased discounts on all 2018 Mitsubishis. Save up to $3,000 on the all-new Eclipse Cross and up to $4,000 on other models. All Mitsubishis come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Come see us at Primeaux Mitsubishi, 15309 South Memorial, or on the web at PrimeauxMitsubishi.com.
More of those new Twisted Bricktown Brewery specials. These are the ones that take those special ones you know about, but give a little special Bricktown twist to it. Try this one. Here's the Mac Grilled Cheese and Tomato Soup. This is macaroni and cheese, shaved ham, American cheese, Romano cheese between grilled bread and served with a San Marzano tomato soup. Incredible. And a braised short rib and mashed potatoes covered in rich brown sauce, served with green beans. And don't forget, it's also Bricktoberfest time. We'll be tapping a new ale middle of November. Watch for that.
Ditchwitz, 5 words or less. Making the impossible possible.
Technology you can't live without.
Most versatile equipment ever made.
Customer service and support. Reliable, productive, ground-chewing machines. We're in this together.
2 Triple Crowns in the last 4 years have reawakened America to the magnificent thoroughbred. And now, we've got our own triple to celebrate. 3 decades of excitement. And it's not too late for you to get in on the action. Plan your holiday party or any event you like at Remington, and we'll make sure it's chock full of mouth-watering food, drinks that hit the spot, and all the casino and racing action you can handle. Remington's 30th, thoroughly thrilling.
It's post time. We'll go to Remington Park for Dale Day to give us an update on what's going on at the racetrack, including a big weekend with the Oklahoma Classics just completed.
Overnight rains forced the races off the turf on the 26th Oklahoma Classics on Friday at Remington Park. However, the $1 million series of races for top-flight Oklahoma breds went off great over and off track. The 2018 Classics races were all run over a sloppy main track as extensive rain forced races off the turf. The $1 million program started with Gianna's Dream, shipping from Kentucky for trainer Mike Maker to win her 3rd consecutive distaff turf. In her class, she'll win this race yet again, another year, this time on a different surface. Gianna's Dream takes the opener by a length. Oklahoma Classics Night tends to be about the Oklahoma-bred stars in racing, and this year's edition did not disappoint as the new Speed King, Welder, made easy work of his competition in the sprint. Back to Mr. in 3rd, Welder, 2nd in the sprint last year, not this year. He's the Oklahoma Classics sprint champion, Welder by 5. Welder won his 3rd stakes race of the Remington Park season for Raymax Farms of Claremore, Oklahoma, and trainer Terry Luniak, putting his name at the top of the list for possible Horse of the Meeting honors. Millionaire Shotgun Cowboy made quick work of his competition in the richest race of the night, the $175,000 Classics Cup. Shotgun Cowboy to win the Classics Cup for a 3rd year, 2 years in a row. Shotgun Cowboy on top. Shotgun Cowboy won his 3rd Classics Cup for breeder, owner, and trainer C.R. Trout of Edmond, Oklahoma, and his 4th Oklahoma Classics race of his career. The big money payoff on Classics Night took place in Race 9, when Starling went to the lead and flew to victory at 66-1 odds in the Juvenile, setting a new Classics record for highest win payoff in the series at $135.80 for a $2 win bet. Ridden by Garrett Steinberg, trainer Megan Hauser won her first career race. And here it comes for Starling in the Juvenile by 2.5. Starling's win also helped set a new primetime Pick 4 record as the payoff on Classics Night for the multi-race bet was $78,877 and a nickel, a new all-time high for the Pick 4 in Remington Park history. Other Classic Stakes winners for 2018 included Charlie Webb in the OKC Turf Classic, 3 Chords in the Distaff Sprint, Sidney Freeman in the Distaff, and She's Shiny in the Lassie. At Remington Park in Oklahoma City, I'm Dale Day. Now back to Sports Scene.
Back here in Tulsa, and I tell you, the Oilers are off to a great start, Gil. They're really flying right now. What a great home schedule to start.
Well, beating Allen, too. Allen's had a good team in the past.
Sure have.
And, really excited for Rob and the Oilers. They went through a really good year last year, almost got there. This year, I think they're going to be on their way.
Beat Allen 6-4 on Sunday. Coach, how'd you like to start a season with 8 home games?
I'll tell you what. If you've got 8 home games, you're what more can you say?
You got a chance to win 6 of the 8.
They'll host Kansas City this Friday, and then Wichita on Saturday. Drop the puck at 7:05 p.m. Get out there and support the Oilers.
Great news. Primeaux Mitsubishi is again #1 in sales in Oklahoma. I've made some key changes. Next time you come in, you'll see some very familiar faces. Mitsubishi has increased discounts on all 2018 Mitsubishis. Save up to $3,000 on the all-new Eclipse Cross and up to $4,000 on other models. All Mitsubishis come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Come see us at Primeaux Mitsubishi, 15309 South Memorial, or on the web at PrimeauxMitsubishi.com.
There is no limit to what we will do to help the next generation. As Oklahoma's only affiliate of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we are able to deliver state-of-the-art treatment and the most innovative clinical trials to kids with cancer and blood disorders. This is truly world-class care, right here at home. The St. Jude Affiliate Clinic at the Children's Hospital at St. Francis. Healthcare for life.
And in Oklahoma sports scene, joined by our good friend Henry Primeaux, which means, of course, it's memorabilia time. Henry, let's see what you have this week for us.
I have here a picture of Cliff Mapes. Does everybody know who he was?
No.
You don't?
Never heard of him.
He's from Oklahoma. He played with the New York Yankees. He has 2 distinctions.
Yes.
He is wearing number 3 here.
Oh.
They retired his jersey in 1948 when they retired the Babes. Guess what number they gave him after this?
What?
7. Oh, my goodness.
And I didn't know that until he visited me right before he died. You know,
good heavens.
I got something here that you guys, that I didn't know I had. This is Shaquille O'Neal's rookie card that they used for the draft. This is a draft card.
Oh my
it happens to say LSU, so I'm mighty proud of it.
Right.
These are 54 of the rookies that were in that draft. Now, of course, it's unbroken, and I wouldn't dare break it. But Lee Mayberry's number 23.
Oh, my God.
So that's Shaquille. I also have 2 personal things that I paid too much money for, but this is Mel Ott. Mel Ott was a great player for the New York Giants.
Right.
And this is Zeke Benora. And Zeke was a catcher, and his primary claim to fame that he was a great catcher during the war, but when all the guys came back and he came back, he didn't do much anymore. But this old guy, when he was old and I was just a teenager, we used to play ball every Sunday with the old men, and he used to pitch, and I parked one on him. He never did forget it.
That's great.
I also have a bunch of baseballs, but I did some that's a little different. This was to Gaylord Perry from Billy Crystal.
Oh my gosh.
So I picked this up at Crystal's auction. This is Mel Allen. So you don't think about Mel Allen on a baseball.
That's right.
Leroy Neiman.
Wow.
And then a childhood hero of mine who played at New Orleans at the Pelicans was Bill Mazeroski.
Oh, sure.
And the whole team, and including Danny Murtaugh, was the AAA team of Pittsburgh, and they went up, and that's the team that won the championship in 1961.
61,
okay. And this is a real interesting ball. They're not very expensive because nobody knows what they are. This is the Hall of Fame committee when they get together and pick the Hall of Fame, and you just have to know what to look for. Here's one with Ted Williams, O'Neal, Monty Irvin, Pee Wee Reese. You know, and they all got Stan Musial. So you just have to look at these. They don't bring a lot of money, but you don't know who's on them until you see them.
Now, what's in the little green wrapper there? We're going to finish up here. We're going to bring him back to the end. The first show of the month. Henry's always on, of course, with his memorabilia. Next time it's going to be bobblehead and figurines. Now, who's this?
Now, this is from the 30s. I just got this. And you might want to know what this has to do with sports. He's a bookie.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
So I just got him. I got a bunch of them. They've got a football, can play a tackle and another guy, and a half of his body's on the other side. It's just it's like, I'll bring them all next time, but here's my bookie. This is one of my personal favorites.
Mitsubishi's number one in Oklahoma, right?
Still number one in Oklahoma. Come see us.
Henry, thank you so much as always.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you.
Parting shots coming up in just a moment. Stay with us.
At Bricktown Brewery, we're known for our famous original craft beers like Single String Stout and Bluesberry Ale. Did you know we also brew our own root beer at our Oklahoma City brew house? It's called Attaboy Root Beer, and you'll love it no matter what your age. Just ask for a Bricktown Kids menu with all the favorites for our guests 12 and under. Bricktown Brewery opens every day at 11 a.m.
Great news. Primeaux Mitsubishi is again number one in sales in Oklahoma. I've made some key changes. Next time you come in, you'll see some very familiar faces. Mitsubishi has increased discounts on all 2018 Mitsubishis. Save up to $3,000 on the all-new Eclipse Cross and up to $4,000 on other models. All Mitsubishis come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Come see us at Primeaux Mitsubishi, 15309 South Memorial, or on the web at PrimeauxMitsubishi.com.
And be sure to join us for our first show in November. Henry Primeaux promises some very special bobbleheads in his memorabilia from Henry Primeaux, of course, Primeaux Mitsubishi, one of our great sponsors here. Time now for parting shots, and tip-off goes to J.B. Haney.
Well, my parting shot is going to be really very personal. So if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But I have just really become totally antagonized at professional football, and after they make a good play, their celebration, what they do, and you sit on there where a team has only won one game, won one, lost four, and they make a good tackle, and they celebrate for 30 seconds to a minute. And then the other night, when they lined up like they were rowing a boat, I mean, there just has to be a little bit more pride, I think, in a professional football player, that he can just do the best he can do and then get off the field. That's my opinion.
Well, you've heard me talk about this before, but I'm going to tell you, it has come to fruition, and it's going to be the scourge in intercollegiate basketball in the state that we're in now. And it all starts with AAU basketball. There's no question about it. It has happened. There's agents that lurk around those tournaments that are run all summer long in all the big venues in this country. And then they want to use these kids for their own self-gratification, to get next to those Division I coaches, to get into that contract negotiations when that kid becomes a pro. I think it's totally out of whack. We've got to stop this. We have made inroads with the executive director of the Oklahoma Secondary School Activity Association. Texas has a rule that high school coaches cannot be involved with AAU basketball or AAU anything. And I'll tell you, the thing that concerns me more than this is that it's also now seeping into 7-on-7 football. And we're going to have AAU 7-on-7 tournaments all over the country. Don't use kids. By God, let's get back to playing games the way they should be played.
There you go, Coach. You know, we're big supporters of the Halls of Fame. Gil and I and JB all very much involved with the Tulsa Public Schools Hall of Fame, one of the great honors for any athlete to be inducted into their own Hall of Fame. I had a chance to go down to Warner, Oklahoma, Connors State College this past weekend and host their Hall of Fame inductions. They brought in 9 members of their Hall of Fame representing 5 sports. They came from California to West Virginia, came from all over the place to be back at Connors State and Warner. I want to thank Bill Muse for having us down there. Had a great time. Well, guys, we're going to have a special show our 5th week of October. We're going to go back and do highlights of this month's show, some special guests and stuff. Should have fun with that.
I think it really will be good because we've had some great guests this month. Yeah. We have in this weekly format that we're in. I think our viewers are really going to enjoy that.
Well, Coach, the National Football League will be calling you pretty soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure they will, but I think I'm right. In my opinion, I'm right.
How can you argue that? Hey, thanks for joining us on Oklahoma Sports Scene, and we'll see you next time with our special October highlight show. See you then.